Good morning, TK, and welcome to this week's math class. I hope that you guys have all studied the number 29 yesterday, or número 29, and you are ready to learn about measuring concepts, okay? So the objective for this week's lesson is going to be that you will be able to learn how to compare weights, all right? And in case you haven't noticed, I'm speaking in English because for this lesson, I really wanted to introduce the concept of weight to you guys in English, just because I think it might be a little bit easier for you to understand, and I really want you guys to be able to grasp these concepts that we're going to be talking about, okay? So for this lesson, we're just going to be learning all about it in English. Your materials will be in English. So yeah, so let's continue. So the first thing I want to do is start off by showing you guys a couple of different types of measuring units. Now, if you don't remember, or I'm sorry, you might remember that we used, what are these called? What do we call these? Snap cubes, right? These are our snap cubes. And earlier in the year, we used these snap cubes to measure different items in the classroom. Do you remember when we used these to measure? We took a glue stick and we measured how many snap cubes long that glue stick was, and we said it's about 4 snap cubes long, right? So this is one unit of measurement that we use in our classroom. We have been using these to measure the length of different items, okay? So, and we know that the length of something is how, it means how long or short that item is, alrighty? Now, does anybody know what kind of measuring tool this is? Yes, if you said this is a ruler, that is absolutely correct. This is a ruler, okay? And there's 2 different types of measuring units on a ruler. There is inches, okay, right here at the top, and so these are a little bit longer. And then we have centimeters and millimeters, okay? So we have centimeters on the other side. So there are 2 different types of measuring units on a ruler, and these are just some tools that we use in our world to measure things and to see how long they are or how short they are. Okay, but today we're actually going to be talking about a different unit of measurement, and that is called weight. Okay, say it with me, weight. All right, and so when we weigh something, we are trying to figure out how heavy it is. And so today we're going to be measuring some different items from around our classroom, and you should have these items at home, and I'm hoping that you are going to be able to sort of experiment with some different items at home. But first thing is that I want to tell you, just like we have rulers to measure length, when we measure the weight of something, we use a special measuring tool called a scale, okay, a scale. And scales come in different forms. There's different types of scales, but one type of scale is a balance scale, okay? And so take a good look at this. And if you notice here, this is a scale that goes up and down, and when we see the side that goes down, whatever is on this lower side, that means that that is the item that is heavier, okay? And whatever is on the side that's up is the item that is lighter. Okay, so this is a balance scale, and we are going to be using it to measure some items in our classroom. So before we get started, I would like all of you to bring out your which weighs more page. You should have a page like this in your packet, and it has some items on here. It has, I see some glue, I see a crayon, a pencil, some scissors, a piece of chalk. So I'm going to be walking through this with you guys, and we are going to be sort of measuring these things together and interacting with our worksheet while we sort of test and see which of these items weighs more. Okay, so let's get started. In the next view, you're going to be seeing the scale, and I'm going to be walking through all of these things with you. So grab this paper if you have it. If not, you can just follow along in the video. So first we're going to start by just taking a guess. I want us to sort of guess or hypothesize how much we think that each of these glues weighs. Okay, so we have a big heavy wet glue, and we have a glue stick here. Now, if you had to guess or take a guess, which one of these do you think would be heavier? Which one would weigh more? The glue stick or the bottle? Good, probably the bottle. One, because the bottle is much larger than the glue stick, and it's carrying like a liquid, a thick, heavy liquid inside. So usually that is heavier than this small little glue stick that just has a hard little texture, like a little doughy texture inside. Okay, but we're gonna go ahead and put it to the test. If you guessed that the large glue bottle was heavier, we're gonna see if that's true. If you guess that maybe the glue stick is heavier, we're gonna see if that's true. So I'm going to start by getting my scale ready. Okay, and so my scale is pretty even. We want to make sure that it's flat and even. So I'm going to go ahead and put the glue stick in there. Okay, so if we were measuring the glue stick, the weight of the glue stick, it brought that scale all the way down. Okay, so right now the glue stick is heavier than nothing that we have on this side. Okay, but let's go ahead and put in the big glue bottle. Now let's find which one's heavier. Which one do you think is heavier? Which one is lower? What is the scale telling us? Very good. The large glue bottle is heavier than the glue stick. Okay, so that was just a little example to get us started with, because we had talked about these items in our lecture. But let's go ahead and start walking through this worksheet so that we can start identifying which of these items is heavier. So I have my little bag of supplies here with all of the items on this worksheet, and we're gonna go through those together. Okay, so the first one, what does it say? It says, which weighs more, a bottle of glue or a stick of chalk? Let's pull it out and take a guess. I have a yellow stick of chalk here, and I have a glue bottle. Which is your guess? Which is the heavier item, the chalk stick or the glue? Let's find out. I'm gonna place my chalk stick in. Okay. Now I'm going to put in my glue bottle. Now, which one of these is heavier? Is it the chalk stick or the glue? The glue, very good. And we know that it's heavier because it tips that scale really far down, and this is the higher item, so we know this is lighter and this is heavier. So you can go ahead and circle here that the glue is the heavier item. It weighs more, okay? Its weight is heavier and the chalk's weight is lighter, alrighty? So let's go ahead and take those items out and let's move on to number 2, okay? So for number 2, it wants us to measure. Which weighs more, the crayon or an eraser? Crayon or an eraser? So I'm gonna go in my bag here where I have all of my supplies. I found a white crayon to measure and an eraser. Now these two might have more of a similar weight. They might almost weigh the same. Which is your guess? Do you think the crayon or the eraser weighs more? Okay, let's find out. I'm gonna start by putting the crayon first on this side of my weight, of my scale, I'm sorry. And then, so it brings it down. Now we're gonna see if the eraser is heavier than the crayon. Ooh, and so it looks pretty balanced. It looks like, is one heavier than the other? It looks like the eraser might be a tiny bit heavier than the crayon. Let's see. I really think that they're pretty equal. Okay, let's circle both of these because I think that both of these have the same weight. They are just as heavy. Okay, so let's go ahead and take those out. Good, now let's move on. Let's look at number 3. What does it want us to measure here? The weight of a pencil and scissors. Which weighs more, the pencil or the scissors? So I'm going to go in my bag of supplies. I have my pencil, and I have my scissors. Now, which one of these do you think is going to weigh more? Think about when you use these tools. Which one has more weight to it? Okay, you could sort of compare the two and hold them. I'm guessing that the scissors are going to be heavier. They are going to weigh more. Let's find out. Okay, so we will put the pencil in first. Okay, so the pencil brings down the scale because there's nothing else on the other side. And now I'm going to put in the scissors. Which one weighs more? Very good, the scissors. Okay, we know the scissors weigh more because it tips the scale and it is lower on this side. So you can go ahead and circle that the scissors weigh more. Okay, good, let's continue. Oh, I have to sneeze. Woo, excuse me. Okay, let's keep going. So next we are going to measure the ruler and a glue. Okay, so it says which weighs more, a ruler or a glue? Okay, let's look at these items. What do they look like? Okay, which one looks heavier to you? Let's find out. This is a pretty long ruler, so I'm gonna just try to stick it on my scale like this. Hope it stays. Okay, and then now I'm going to put in my glue. Let's put that back. Ah, it's falling. Okay, good. We got the ruler to stay and the bottle of glue. Now, which one is heavier? Is it the ruler or the glue? Which weighs more? We know that the glue weighs more because it tipped the scale, and the ruler is up here on the side of the scale that is up high. The glue definitely weighs more than the ruler. Okay, so go ahead and feel free to circle the ruler option. Okay, good. And now we have two more examples. Next example, they want us to measure now the eraser. Which weighs more, the eraser or the pencil? Let's find out. Okay, the eraser or the pencil, which one do you think is going to weigh more? Okay, let's see. So I'm going to put the eraser on this side. It tips the scale because this is the only item on the scale right now. And then I'm going to put in a pencil. Did it move the scale at all? No, it didn't. That's right. The eraser remained lower on this side. So that means that the eraser is the heavier item. It weighs more than the pencil. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and circle that eraser because we know that it weighs more than our pencil. Very good. And let's do one more and we're going to wrap up today's lesson. So the last one, it wants us to measure a stick of chalk with a pair of scissors. Let's look at that. Okay, we have a small, thin piece of chalk, and believe it or not, chalk does feel a little dense, pretty heavy sometimes. And we have a pair of scissors. Okay, which do you think is going to weigh more? Let's find out. I'm going to put my chalk in this side. Okay, so right now the chalk weighs more than this side because there's nothing over here. But I'm going to go ahead and stick in my scissors. Now, which one weighs more? The piece of chalk or the scissors? That's correct, the scissors, because the scale tips downward, telling us that the scissors weigh more than the piece of chalk. So in this case, we're going to circle the pair of scissors because we have measured and found that they weigh more, they are heavier than this light piece of chalk. Okay? So, we are going to continue doing some weight practice to determine what is heavy and what is light tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed this little introduction to how we compare weights. Remember, this is a measuring tool that we use to measure weight, which means how heavy or how light something is, and this is called a balance scale. Say it with me. a balance scale, okay? And we call it a balance scale because, see, it sort of balances things on each of its arms. Okay, so thank you so much for tuning in today with me. I will see you guys tomorrow when we do our follow-up measuring heavy or light lesson. I'll see you next time, TK. Bye-bye.